Have you ever wondered, why do some people start with almost nothing and somehow build extraordinary lives, while other people have talent, ideas, education, and opportunities, but still remain stuck? What if the biggest difference isn't money? What if it starts with something you carry with you every single day? Your mind. Imagine two people. They live in the same city. They have similar education. They have similar opportunities. And they both want a better life. The first person says, I wish I could become successful. The second person says, I know exactly what I want. I know why I want it. And I'm willing to work for it. 5 years later, their lives may look completely different. Why? Because a vague wish and a definite purpose are not the same thing. This is one of the central ideas behind one of the most famous personal development books ever written, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. But let me make something clear. This book does not mean that you can sit on your sofa, think about money, and suddenly become rich. No. The deeper message is much more practical. Your thoughts influence your beliefs. Your beliefs influence your decisions. Your decisions influence your actions. Your actions become habits. And your habits influence your results. So today, we're going to take a journey through the major ideas of Think and Grow Rich. We'll talk about the story behind the book, its famous principles, real examples, simple explanations, practical exercises, and most importantly, how you can apply these ideas to your own life. So relax, listen slowly, and imagine that we're having a simple conversation about success. Let's begin. Introduction. What is Think and Grow Rich? Think and Grow Rich was written by Napoleon Hill and first published in 1937. It became one of the most influential books in the personal success genre. Hill's central purpose was to understand the principles behind achievement. He studied and interviewed successful figures and presented a philosophy built around ideas such as desire, faith, planning, specialized knowledge, persistence, decision-making, imagination, and cooperation. One important thing to understand is the historical context. The book appeared during a difficult economic period. Many people were dealing with financial uncertainty. Yet Hill focused on a question: why do some people continue moving forward when circumstances are difficult? The book's answer is not simply work harder. It argues that success involves a combination of definite desire, clear thinking, knowledge, planning, action, persistence, and the ability to work with other people. Now, let's go through these ideas one by one. Lesson 1. Desire. The first major principle is desire. Hill doesn't talk about a weak wish. He talks about a burning, definite desire. There is a huge difference between I want to be successful and I have decided what I want and I'm going to work toward it. Think about a student. Student A says, I want good marks. Student B says, I want to score 90% in my final exam. I will study 2 focused hours every day and review my mistakes every weekend. Which student has a clearer direction? Student B. Why? Because the goal is specific. A goal gives your effort somewhere to go. STORY. Edwin C. Barnes. Hill tells the story of Edwin C. Barnes, who wanted to work with inventor Thomas Edison. Barnes didn't simply want employment. He wanted to become Edison's business associate. At the beginning, Barnes did not have the status or resources that would make this goal easy, but he had something important, a definite desire. He eventually created an opportunity to work with Edison and built a relationship that helped him pursue his ambition. The lesson isn't that desire magically creates success. The lesson is that a strong goal changes your behavior. You start noticing opportunities. You become willing to learn. You become more persistent. You stop treating every obstacle as a final answer. Practical application. Tonight, take a piece of paper. Write, what exactly do I want? Not, I want money. Instead, I want to build a successful business. I want to become an excellent doctor. I want to build a successful YouTube channel. I want to become financially independent. Make it specific. Then ask, why do I want it? Because a strong reason gives your goal emotional power. Lesson R, faith. The second principle is faith. Faith means developing confidence in yourself and your goal. But don't misunderstand this. Faith does not mean pretending that everything will be easy. It means believing. I can learn. I can improve. I can keep moving. Imagine you are learning English. At first, you make mistakes. You forget words. Your grammar isn't perfect. You feel nervous speaking? You could say, I'm terrible at English. Or, I'm still learning English. Those two sentences create very different mindsets. The second one leaves room for growth. Example, imagine a beginner at the gym. He looks at an experienced athlete and thinks, I'll never become like that. Another beginner thinks, they've trained for years. I'll start with what I can do. One person compares, the other person progresses. Faith becomes powerful when it leads to action. Don't simply say, I believe. Ask, what action would someone who believes in their goal take today? Then take that action. Lesson 3. Autosuggestion. The third principle is autosuggestion. In simple language, autosuggestion means repeatedly directing your thoughts toward the beliefs and goals you want to strengthen. Think about your internal voice. Maybe you sometimes tell yourself, I'm not good enough. I always fail. I can't do this. I have no talent. If you repeat these messages for years, they can become familiar. Now imagine replacing them with, I can improve. I can learn. I can become more disciplined. I can get better through practice. These statements aren't magic spells. They are reminders. They help direct your attention toward growth and action. Practical exercise. Every morning, read your main goal aloud. Then say, I am willing to learn what is necessary to achieve this goal. And today, I will take one meaningful step toward it. Then actually take the step. Because positive words without action are just words. Lesson 4. Specialized knowledge. The fourth lesson is specialized knowledge. Hill argues that general knowledge alone isn't enough. You need knowledge that can be organized and used for a specific purpose. Imagine someone says, I know a little bit about business, fitness, technology, marketing, psychology, finance, photography, and coding. That sounds impressive, but what can they actually do? Now imagine someone who spends years becoming excellent at one valuable skill. For example, sales, programming, medicine, engineering, design, marketing, communication. That specialized knowledge can become valuable. Example, imagine you want to become a YouTube creator. You don't just need motivation. You need specialized knowledge. How to research topics, how to write hooks, how to tell stories, how to create thumbnails, how to edit videos, how to understand audience retention, how to improve titles. You don't need to master everything on day one. Choose one skill. Learn it, practice it, and gradually build a skill stack. Lesson 5. Imagination. The fifth principle is imagination. Every major invention began as an idea. Before a building existed, someone imagined it. Before a business existed, someone imagined it. Before a product existed, someone imagined it. Imagination is the ability to see possibilities that don't exist yet. Story. Think about the Wright brothers. At a time when human flight seemed impossible to many people, they experimented with the idea of controlled flight. They didn't simply dream. They tested. They failed. They adjusted. They tried again. That's the important part. Imagination creates possibilities. Experimentation turns possibilities into reality. Practical question. Ask yourself, what problem do people have? What could make their lives easier? What could be improved? What could be combined? What if there were a better way? Successful ideas often begin with simple questions. Lesson 6. Organized planning. Desire tells you where you want to go. Planning tells you how to get there. Imagine saying, I want to travel around the world. Great. But where are you going first? How much money do you need? What documents are required? How long will you stay? What will you do if something goes wrong? A dream becomes much more useful when it becomes a plan. Simple planning method. Take your biggest goal. Break it down. Big goal. What do I want? 1 year goal. What should I achieve this year? Monthly goal. What must happen this month? Weekly goal. What should I complete this week? Daily action. What can I do today? This removes some of the overwhelming feeling. You don't need to complete the entire mountain today. You only need to climb the next step. Lesson 7. Decision. The 7th lesson is decision. Hill emphasizes the importance of making decisions. Many people spend their lives waiting. I'll start tomorrow. I'll start next month. I need more information. I need more confidence. But there is a problem. You can research forever. Eventually, you have to decide. Story. Imagine 2 people who want to start a small business. Person A spends 1 year researching. Person B researches for 2 months. Starts small, gets feedback, and improves. After 1 year, Person B has real experience. Person A has more notes. Information is useful, but experience comes from action. Practical rule. Don't wait for perfect confidence. Make the best decision you can with the information available. Then learn from the result. Lesson 8. The persistence. Now we come to one of the most important principles. Persistence. Most goals don't fail because people don't know what to do. They fail because people stop doing it. Think about learning a language. Day 1. You know a few words. Day 10. Still difficult. Day 50. You understand more. Day 100. You can communicate better. The improvement comes from repetition. Story. Thomas Edison. Thomas Edison conducted many experiments while developing practical electric lighting. There were failures along the way, but experiments produced information. The important lesson is, failure doesn't automatically make you successful. Learning from failure and continuing intelligently can make you stronger. Persistence means, I will continue pursuing the goal. It does not mean, I will repeat the same mistake forever. If your strategy isn't working, change the strategy, but don't immediately abandon the mission. Lesson 9. Mastermind. The 9th lesson is the mastermind. This means combining knowledge, experience, and energy with other people. Think about building a house. One person might understand architecture. Another understands construction. Another understands electricity. Another understands plumbing. Together, they can accomplish something one person could struggle to do alone. The same thing happens in business and personal development. You don't need to know everything. You need to know people, or learn from people who know what you don't know. Practical application. Find 3 types of people. Someone ahead of you. Learn from them. Someone at your level. Grow together. Someone you can help teach what you know. Your network isn't just about collecting contacts. It's about exchanging value. Lesson 10. The subconscious mind. Hill also talks about the subconscious mind. Here's a simple way to understand it. Your mind receives thousands of pieces of information. Some become habits. Some become beliefs. Some influence your automatic reactions. Think about driving. When you first learn, you consciously think about everything. Mirror, brake, steering, traffic, signals. Eventually, many actions become automatic. The same idea applies to habits. Repeated behavior can become easier and more automatic. Practical application. Be careful about what you repeatedly consume. If you spend hours consuming fear, anger, negativity, and comparison, that becomes part of your mental environment. Instead, deliberately consume useful information, books, courses, good conversations, educational videos, healthy ideas. You don't control every thought, but you can influence what you repeatedly feed your mind. Lesson 11. The brain. Hill presents the brain as a powerful source of ideas. A practical interpretation is simple. The more useful information you collect, the more connections your brain can make. Imagine a chef. If they know only 5 ingredients, they have limited possibilities. If they understand hundreds of ingredients, flavors, techniques, and combinations, their creative possibilities expand. Your knowledge works similarly. Read, observe, practice, talk to people, experiment, then connect ideas. That is how creativity grows. Lesson 12. The Sixth Sense. The sixth sense is one of the more philosophical ideas in the book. You can understand it practically as intuition developed through experience. Think about an experienced teacher. They can look at a student's answer and quickly identify a misunderstanding. A beginner may not notice. Why? Experience, patterns, practice. Your intuition becomes stronger when you repeatedly observe situations and learn from outcomes. But remember, intuition should not replace evidence. Use intuition as a signal, then investigate. Lesson 13. Fear and the Six Ghosts. Hill discusses fears that can prevent people from taking action. These include fears around poverty, criticism, poor health, loss of love, old age, and death. Fear itself isn't always bad. Fear can protect you. The problem begins when fear controls your decisions. Example: imagine you want to speak in front of an audience. You're afraid people will laugh, so you never speak. The fear stays. Instead, start small. Speak in front of a mirror, then record yourself. Then speak to one friend, then 5 people, then a larger group. You don't have to eliminate fear before acting. You can act while feeling fear. That's courage. Lesson 14. Turning setbacks into lessons. One of the most powerful ideas from the book is the ability to keep moving after setbacks. Imagine you start a business. It fails. Does that automatically mean I'm a failure? No. It means that attempt didn't work. Now ask, what did I learn? What mistake did I make? What did customers teach me? What should I change? What should I never repeat? A setback can become expensive education if you learn from it. All lessons connected together. Now let's connect the major principles. Imagine you want to achieve one big goal. First, 1. Desire. Know exactly what you want. Then, 2. Faith. Believe that you can develop the ability to pursue it. Then, 3. Auto-suggestion. Strengthen constructive beliefs through repeated focus. Then, 4. Specialized knowledge. Learn the skills required. Then, 5. Imagination. Find possibilities and solutions. Then, 6. Organized planning. Create a route. Then, 7. Decision. Start. Then, 8. Persistence. Keep going and adapt. Then, 9. Mastermind. Work with capable people. Then, 10. Subconscious mind. Build useful mental patterns. Then, 11. Brain. Keep learning and connecting ideas. Then, 12. Intuition. Develop judgment through experience. And finally, 13. Action. Turn everything into real behavior. That's the system. Practical 30-day application. Now, let's turn the entire book into a simple 30-day challenge. Choose one goal, just one. Write it down. Write why you want it. Write the deadline. Then write the skills you need. Create a simple plan. Every morning, read your goal. Choose one important task. Do it before unnecessary distractions. Every evening, ask yourself, what did I accomplish? What did I learn? What mistake did I make? What will I improve tomorrow? Every 7 days, review your progress. If the plan isn't working, adjust it. Don't quit simply because progress is slow. Now, let's come back to the title. Think and Grow Rich. At first glance, it sounds like a book about money, but the deeper message is about something bigger. It's about developing a definite purpose, learning valuable knowledge, building confidence, creating plans, making decisions, taking action, working with people, and continuing when things become difficult. Your thoughts alone won't build your future. Your thoughts influence your beliefs. Your beliefs influence your choices. Your choices influence your actions. Your actions repeated over time create your results. So don't close this video and simply say, that was a good summary. Ask yourself, what is the one thing I want? What is my reason? What skill do I need? What is my plan? What is the first action? And when will I begin? Not tomorrow. Not someday. Not when everything becomes perfect. Start with what you have. Learn as you go. Improve as you go. You may fail. That's okay. You may be rejected. That's okay. You may feel afraid. That's okay. You may progress slowly. That's okay. Just don't confuse slow progress with no progress. Remember, a dream without a plan remains a dream. A plan without action remains a document. Action without persistence often ends too early. But when desire, knowledge, planning, action, and persistence work together, you give yourself a real chance to transform your life. So choose your goal. Write it down. Believe you can improve. Learn what you need to learn. Make the plan. Take the first step. And keep going. Because your future isn't created in one dramatic moment. It's created by the decisions you make. Again, and again, and again. Maybe your life won't change tomorrow, but you can change what you do tomorrow. And if you change what you do consistently, you can eventually change where your life is going. So don't just think about the life you want. Think clearly, plan carefully, act consistently, learn continuously, and never let one failure convince you that your entire future has failed. Your goal is still ahead. Your next step is waiting, and the first step can begin today. Think, believe, plan, act, persist, and grow, not only in wealth, but in knowledge, confidence, discipline, and character. Thank you for watching. And remember, the future belongs to the person who decides what they want and then has the courage to work for it. Start today.